You've probably heard of the black-eyed children. I remember in middle school, all of these kids were telling me about it and it freaked me out. I remember looking out their windows, getting scared, hoping they didn't come by our house. The black-eyed children are kids who show up to your house late at night and they ask to enter. And here's what no one tells you. These encounters, they don't feel like normal ghost stories. Something about them feels a little wrong, a little off, a little strange. Because what you're dealing with might not actually be children at all. And once you've seen their eyes, it's already too late. Hi, my name is Grace, and if you don't know me, I talk about all sorts of like spooky, creepy, freaky stuff. So if that's your thing, subscribe below for more. I also always love to introduce my sweet little cat, Casper. Oh my God. Yeah, he's always in the back of the videos. So I like to just like let you know who he is. That's my friend. He clawed my arm really bad, but I did deserve that. Look, he's scowling at me. I have already made a video like this, but I'm not gonna lie, I really half-assed it and I wanted to do better this time. I didn't want to like keep that video up. So this is that video, but way better and more researched and not 2 minutes long. The last one wasn't supposed to be 2 minutes long, and then as I edited, it ended up becoming 2 minutes long. And also I learned that some of the information was incorrect, so I'm here with the correct information. So to the 1,000 people who watched, you're welcome. I also wanted to note that like I do read your comments. I ask you to comment. I find your comments interesting. And like one of my recent videos, there was a person who commented like, you need to engage with your commenters. Like you need to respond to the comment section. And like, I do read it, but like that shit is overwhelming. I like coming on. I like talking about spooky, creepy things. As you know, that's my thing all over the internet. But like, I am not built to be reading these comment sections. I'm really not. I'm pretty secure in myself. And like, I've been doing this for about 6 years now. It's my job and I like talking about what I'm passionate about and making cool content. But like, unless it's in person, I get really overwhelmed. Even if like one person makes a negative comment and the rest are all positive. People say this all the time, but it's really true. Like it does impact me, even though I know it shouldn't. And I feel stupid even saying that, but that's my truth. So I do read your comments. I do occasionally interact. It makes me feel really happy when you comment, but like, just know like if I don't respond, I'm genuinely not looking. That's why most of my Instagram posts comments are off, because I don't want to hear I don't want to hear the negative stuff, honestly. But just know like you are appreciated and I do see it. And I'll comment on this video since I made such a big deal about it. I'll read the comments and I'll talk to you guys in this video. So if you comment below, I'll actually respond. Anyway, let's get into it. Reports of the black-eyed children started popping up in the late 90s, but people believed that they had been around way longer, and people use different names to refer to them. They're described as kids, usually 6 to 16, wearing outdated clothes, standing outside your doorstep, but something feels off. Their skin is pale, their speech is very like proper and formal. They're using words that like even I wouldn't know how to say, and their eyes are completely black. There's no iris, there's no whites, it's just a void. But here's the detail that makes these stories just so chilling. They can't come in unless you invite them. Similar to vampires, but it makes me think like, are the two connected? That's a whole other conversation. The kids will knock and then they'll ask you for help. They'll ask you for a ride. They'll ask you to use your phone. And the longer you hesitate, the more aggressive they become. People report sudden migraines, nausea, nosebleeds just from being near them or interacting. And if you don't let them in, when you finally slam the door shut, they immediately vanish. There's no footsteps, there's no goodbye, they don't like walk down the street, they're just gone. So what are they? Some people believe that they're demons in disguise. Other people say that they're aliens, human hybrids, and they're testing how close they can get to us. But there's one theory that's a little more disturbing that I haven't seen talked about too much. And this is the theory that they might be interdimensional parasites. Big words, I know. I'll break it down for you. They're from another dimension and they're kind of like aliens, or they're just kind of like things that latch onto you and bother you. And these beings mimic our children and feed off of our fear and our permission. Because the moment you let them in, you've given them control. And people who do, they don't talk about it, or they go missing, like completely off the grid. And then it brings us to another question, why now? Like, why are black-eyed children being reported more and more frequently all around the US and Canada and even in the UK? Is something going on that's like waking them up? Is this like a government conspiracy? Is this like some sort of like thing where they're testing on our children and it's becoming more popular for them to do that and like release them into the wild and see what we do? Like, what is going on here? Because here's the part that keeps getting buried. They are always spotted near UFO sightings. hospitals and in ghost towns where there are mass disappearances. Like, this goes deeper than just like creepy kids. So what happens to you if you actually get let in? Let's go there. Let's get a little deeper with this. Like, you probably want to know how this would relate to you, or you're like, girl, this is fucking fake. And we're having fun over here. Let's pretend. Because there are all of these stories and they all end the same way. Nothing in your life works the same after. Some of the earliest stories trace back to the 1990s. One of the most well-known came from a Texas journalist who was sitting in his car when two kids knocked on his window. They asked him for a ride and he said no, barely, because he felt this like overwhelming urge to say yes, like something was like pushing him towards the door. And it wasn't like his curiosity, it wasn't that he was being empathetic, it was like some sort of compulsion, like his body was being controlled, like his body wasn't his own. And as long as you say no, that's good. They go away. Nothing you can do after that. They might like stalk you for a bit according to some of these stories, but they won't actually do anything unless you allow them in. So the big moral is just say no. No means no, and the black-eyed children respect consent. But that's something a lot of people report when they talk about the black-eyed children. A thick, heavy mental fog. They feel like time slows down. Like you know something's wrong, but your body won't listen. Now here's what's worse. There are a couple stories from people who did let them in. One came from a couple in Vermont who said two children showed up at their doorstep during a snowstorm. They were alone. They looked about 10 years old and they asked to come inside and use the phone. The couple hesitated, but since they were children and they were alone and they looked a little desperate, they said yes. I feel like that's valid. I feel like you would want to help a kid in that position. And the moment that the children stepped inside, the whole house's power went out. The house was silent and all of the pets in the house vanished. They had like 2 cats and a dog. They were never seen again. And the kids just stood in the middle of the living room, not moving, not blinking. The woman noticed their eyes went entirely black. She said it felt like she was looking into a void. Then both kids said at the same time, "Our parents are here." And they walked to the front door and disappeared into the night. And in the weeks that followed, the couple started to fall apart. And maybe you could blame this on the disappearance of their pets. I don't know what I would do if Casper disappeared, or if anything happened to Casper. I would be distraught. But you know, I wouldn't take it out on Ryan. And then, in the thick of all of this, the husband ended up developing cancer. The wife started having migraines and nosebleeds and constant paranoia. She said that she could feel like something was watching her everywhere she went. So what are the black-eyed children? Are they demons? Are they something extraterrestrial? Or are they something even older than time itself? Something that decided to mimic the appearance of a child because it knew it could get you to say yes. And once they're in, they don't leave. And even after they're gone, their dark presence is still lingering. And if you're wondering what they actually want from you, that's where it gets a little darker. One theory explains it, and if it's true, they're not just knocking because they need help. They're knocking because they're hungry. And this kind of brings us back to what I was talking about with vampires. I think they could be some sort of form of energy vampire. And I've talked about this with like celebrity couples, but never on like a paranormal basis. So an energy vampire is someone who kind of like sucks your soul out of you, sucks your energy out of you. And a lot of the times you can see this when one person in the couple has like a huge major glow up and the other one is losing at everything in life and just looks mentally, physically drained. They're a little paler, they're a little more gaunt. They have like bags under their eyes because they are being mentally and emotionally drained. And this, you know, could be a paranormal thing, but it could just be like a legit thing. Or it could just be in our heads because we don't actually know these couples and we're just speculating on other people's lives. But when you encounter an energy vampire, allegedly, you're supposed to feel exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed after interacting with them. And, you know, we talk about this in pop culture, as I already said, but the paranormal definition is where it's like a supernatural being that feeds on your life force, whether you know it's happening or not. And maybe letting them in is allowing them to be able to do that. They could also be taking your emotional energy and draining that instead of your blood, which could explain why the lights went out. Maybe they're taking your electrical energy. But I mean, you always hear like when you meet ghosts or when you're in a paranormal area, like your phone battery dies or your flashlight dies, even though you just refilled the batteries. But the idea is they knock, they wait, you let them in, and your life falls apart. Like the people who let these black-eyed children in, they don't die right away. They get sick, they'll lose their jobs, their relationship falls apart, the people around them that they're depending on for their like mental stability pass away. Like they kind of deteriorate in one way or another. They forget how to sleep, they forget how to feel, and they always say the same thing, that they never felt alone again. It's like something is still with them. Like when the black-eyed children entered, something entered inside of them, and it lingers and it eats. Kind of like something latched on to your soul, and they feed off your life force slowly. Like when you're letting them in, you're not just letting them into your house, you're giving them like a key to your mind, or to your energy, or to everything that makes you you. Like there's a reason every story ends in ruin. And it's not because they're trying to hurt you, but because that's what feeding looks like. And here's the worst part. You might not even know that you let them in. Maybe it wasn't even a knock at the door. Maybe it was in a dream. A strange child who looked at you on the street for just a little too long. A cold spot in your room that never seems to go away. Because once they see you, maybe they don't always need to knock. What if we just needed to look back and give them a friendly, inviting smile? And that's just enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you appreciated the video. And if you're spooked out a little bit, you can feel free to watch these videos to make you feel even worse and not be able to go to sleep at night. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay spooky, guys.